All right, Mr. Rudd. Nice to meet you.
Good to see you as well. Good to be in Berlin.
Thank you. You've been the Australian Prime Minister for 3.5 years, and until half a year ago, you've been the Minister for Foreign Affairs of Australia. Now that you're not part of the government anymore, do you have a different side on Australia's foreign affairs?
No, not at all. It's important to be consistent. I'm a little more candid about what I say publicly, but that's a different matter. As a member of the Australian Parliament, I'm still actively engaged in Australia's relations in Asia and our relations around the world. And for us, we see ourselves as a middle power with global interests, middle power with regional interests. We're a member of the G20, we're just been elected to the UN Security Council for the next 2 years. We're active in all the councils of Asia. We do that because it's our part of the world.
What do you consider as the main challenge for Australia's foreign policy?
Well, we want to ensure that the Asia-Pacific century is a peaceful century. I keep talking about Pax Pacifica, a peaceful Pacific. I keep talking about the need for an Asia-Pacific community. The challenge also is to develop concepts of common security and common prosperity. And the core of that is to avoid conflict between China and the United States and to build a fabric of institutional cooperation which helps prevent that.
Okay, you keep telling in Asia that they don't have to, that they shouldn't do the same mistakes than the Europeans did, like over the last 300 years. What are you worried about concretely?
Well, in Asia, of course, you have 21st century economies and 19th century nationalisms. If we were in 19th century Europe right now and we talked about territorial disputes, people would regard that as normal. Of course, you then had 2 world wars which didn't resolve anything. In Asia, the territorial disputes are real, but there are no institutional mechanisms to deal with them peacefully, and therefore we've got to build those institutions. So my challenge always in Asia is for them to reflect carefully on the failures of Europe from Westphalia through to 1945 and ask themselves this question: do you really want to go through all that again? I don't think so. There's a better way forward, and let us build the institutions for regional cooperation on security, on politics and on the economy.
Do you think that the European Union can be kind of a role model for the Asia-Pacific region?
My counsel to our friends in Europe is to reflect a strong foreign policy position on your views of the future of Asia. And by that I mean that Asia should resolve its disputes peacefully, that Asia should begin to build institutions like those which we've seen developed in the last 65 years in Europe, that peaceful means should be used for the resolution of disputes, and that cooperation is better than conflict. The maintenance of the global and regional rules-based order is important for Europe as well. It is not an exercise in European foreign policy philanthropy to be interested in Asia. If Asia goes wrong and Asia becomes a rolling security nightmare, the impact on the German economy will be massive, as China is soon to become Germany's largest trading partner. Therefore, you have a direct interest in Europe in ensuring the continued stability of East Asia, and a strong foreign policy voice ensuring the maintenance of the liberal international rules-based order in the region, around the world, as China becomes the world's largest economy, will be important.
Is there also an impact the other way around considering the euro crisis on Australia?
Well, the rest of the world has watched with great anxiety what has happened in Europe, as for the last 2 years you've struggled through the euro crisis. We hope you're coming out the other side of it. The danger for Europe is that in Asia it is seen that Europe has been unable to handle its own difficulties. The problem, however, is that that is incorrect. It's been a difficult process, it's been a long process, it's been an untidy process, but I think Europe also has a responsibility to demonstrate afresh to all of your partners in Asia that the European economy is back in order, that it is still a strong engine for global growth, that Europe is a strong voice for global free trade and for adding, therefore, to global economic growth.
There have been a lot of talks, especially on China today. There was a question from a conference participant before. She told about that all her friends, all her young friends, are still considering China as kind of a dragon and as kind of threatening. What do you keep telling young people to take away their worries, to take away their fears about China and its impact on the Western world and on Europe?
Well, the truth is, with any large emerging power, China is both an opportunity and a challenge. It's a question of how we engage China. Nothing is determinist in history. It's what we make of it. By the way, the term long in Chinese is poorly translated in English as dragon. It's actually something quite different within the Chinese tradition. But more broadly, sure, China is different. China is a one-party state, about to become the world's largest economy. That concerns many of us. On the other hand, China has no history in the last 1,000 years of invading any other state, and therefore we should take confidence in that. But this is going to be a difficult challenge for the period ahead. Our job is to engage China directly, honestly, frankly, be confident in the values for which we in the collective West stand, and at the same time make it plain that we wish to see the retention of the current international rules-based order.
Okay, Mr. Rudd, thank you.
Good to see you.